Hey, it's MK, and I am here with a mixed media mayhem recipe for you guys today. I am also playing along with Iron Crafter's challenge, and I am going to be using my Kit Conspiracy kit for this week. So today, I have my distress ink, well, my distressor, because that's the first recipe, is distress, and then I have my ink, which is, I'm going to be using pink, you guys. Oh my gosh. I think it's picked raspberry as well as rustic wilderness. And then I've got my blending brushes because that is the third recipe is blending, or I think that's the second. And then the third is the cut files. So I pulled out these two uber old cut files that were one of my first cut files from the shop. And then I've got a couple other leafy bits that I received in a package. I don't remember where they came from though, you guys. And then for the Iron Crafter challenge, we are supposed to add some sort of fiber, ribbon, thread, twine, something fibrous like that. So I pulled out these little roses because that is what Sandy is kind of sort of playing with in her picture that I have of her making a hot mess. At least I think it is. I also pulled out these thickers, which is Count the Ways. Yeah, I own a pink set of thickers, you guys. I actually own 3. I know, I'm ashamed, but I do own them. I have a couple pieces from the 49 End Market Spectrum Gardenia laser cut pieces, as well as the die cut pieces. So I'm just sharing those with you guys now. I picked out all the pink pieces because that is what Sandy is doing. Here's a couple more laser cut pieces. I think some of these also came from the cluster kit. I don't really remember. And then from Scrapbook Addicts. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time getting my words out. These adorable little flowers, I ordered them from her shop. She hand makes everything. It is fabulous. I also have these little swatches, paint swatches that I will be adding around my layout. I know a couple other colors other than pink. I have my flare from Pear Tree cut files. Oh my gosh. And then I have my last little bit. I used the word yummy already, but this is the second part of the word yummy. It just says goodness. And then these are my pictures. So I got 2 pictures. Janet took these pictures of Sandy, and then Janet took the picture of disgust on my face. It's not really disgust. It's just like a holy cow. That's a lot of pink. And she just kept going and going. She clearly wasn't done because there was still some white spots left on the roses that she was painting. So I'm going to use this background here. It's already got a great, good mixed media mess for me. So I'm going to just use it to my advantage and then put everything in the center. I'm going to go ahead and trim down my photos just a little bit so that way I still have that little white border going around all of my photos. This way I don't need to bring in any other paper, and I can just layer up using all of those pink items that I have picked out. I'm going to use those as my layering. So yeah, that's what's going on so far. All right, so I'm going to finish up trimming down all of these photos and lay them out like so. Set that off to the side, and I want to get started on my cut files. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn my flowers into pink, and then that way when I put them on my, I back them on my paper, excuse me, then they don't stick out so much. I was worried. At first I wasn't going to do the pink at all, and I was just going to leave them white and then just back them with pink. But then I realized that it might have been a bit too much whiteness, and so I wanted it to blend in a little bit more with the pink. So that is what I am doing. It's a gentle process. Clearly this cut file was not meant to do that. I have a lot of people asking, well, then why didn't you cut it out of pink paper? I always cut my elements out of white cardstock because I never know what color I really want them. I don't own pink paper unless it comes in a kit just like this. All right, you guys, so now I'm going to try to do the exact same thing with these leaves. They are super uber thin. They are definitely not the same material that I use for my cut files. And so after I rip off the very first leaf, I thought, okay, there's got to be a better way to do this. I clearly cannot get enough ink on this without ripping it, ruining it, doing something. So here in a minute, I am going to come up with a better solution. So I'm going to put the ink straight on my glass mat. I love my glass mat, by the way. And then I'm going to use my fan brush because it was the closest brush to me. And I'm going to go ahead and lay my leaves down in the messy wetness, and then go ahead and fill in the gaps where I find that they're needed with my fan brush, not the brush I would have chosen, just saying. So I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing to all of these pieces. Now, I don't end up using all of the pieces in my layout, but I do end up coloring them just so that way they do have a little bit of color for in the future. I have no idea how these are going to dry, what they're going to look like. I mean, I just really didn't have a clue, except that I knew that I wanted them to be this green. I love this green, you guys. It's one of my favorites. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish dipping them in the paint and then using my brush to fill in the gaps where there didn't get any paint or anything like that. Some of the colors, I love the blended colors, you guys. I love how different it is, and it's all from just one color. This one I got a little bit too wet, and so it ripped on me, but I'm fine with that. I will, it still looks usable and doable, it's good. And that's last but not least, I am going to color the word goodness in the pink, and I am just using whatever is left on my brush. I don't actually end up putting it back in the ink pad to get full consistency. So whatever colors are on the brush, gosh knows what I used this for. I don't think I've ever used this bright pink. Maybe I have. I think I did a rainbow once just to see if I could do it and match all my colors. I think I did that. All right, you guys. So now that my, I'm sorry, I needed a drink. I felt parched. Now that I got all my colors done up, I'm going to go ahead and matte or back my cut files with this piece of layering piece from 49 and Market. And I'm going to try to find the center of my flower because I want to try to make them yellow. Like I want to try to blend in some yellow on there. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but here I couldn't find the center of the flower. I just wanted to make sure that I did not overlap them on accident. And then I'm just going to take my blending brush. This is Scattered Straw. It's something I didn't anticipate doing. And I just blended it until the pencil line went away. I don't know how this is going to look, by the way. It's just something I'm going to try out and my only pink piece of paper. So hopefully it works. I'm going to take some glue and glue her down. And it's okay. It's not what I envisioned, but it's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going because again, it's the only pink piece of paper that I have available. Smack those down, and now I'm going to fussy cut them out. I left this process in because I do know that this paper here is very thick. At first, when I first started cutting into it, I thought, oh my gosh, did I make a mistake because it is so thick? But in the end, once I got them all cut apart, they cut out really, it's a pretty easy shape to cut. And I just take my scissors, I angle them underneath the cut file. That way I'm cutting the paper at a slight angle and it's away from the edge. So that way you don't see the rough cut edge. But because I didn't really like the inside of my yellow flower, I'm going to go ahead and take whatever ink is on my brush and go ahead and brush up and try to fill in my flower. And try to recolor it and whatnot. Try to just blend in that yellow just a little bit, and I like it a lot more. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other flower. So, and again, it is very super thick paper. I can't even tell you guys how far I thought that this was going to be a mess. I thought I was going to have to change my brain and figure out something else and then find another cut file because I don't know how old these cut files actually are. I didn't even know that I had them until I opened up the kit and saw that there was cut files in the back of one of the packaging. So I don't know how long they've been in there. But yeah, I keep saying because honestly I have a brain fog. I have no clue what to say. All right, so last but not least, I'm going to finish off blending in and just trying to take out that yellow just a little bit. I really wanted it into the center, but I couldn't get it quite central enough. And then I thought, oh, I like this. It's doable. It matches Sarah's little flowers that she made from her shop. I absolutely love it. So next thing that I'm going to do is put my photos together so that way I can start building my page, start figuring out what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this leftover pink piece and go ahead and use it. Like I said, I'm just going to use all of these pieces as layering pieces and really build up something, build a background. I wanted to add these little paint swatches around inside the paint blobs. Now, if I was thinking, I definitely probably would have added more color. I probably would have, like I have the yellow and I have the pink, but I probably would have added a little bit more purple, a little bit more blue, because I see the yellow in the pictures. I see the blue in the pictures. I see the purple in the pictures. I see all those colors in these pictures, but I was so focused on the pink that Sandy was doing. Like, we had to stand up and get a picture of this, and Janet thought my reaction was just so funny. And then Sandy, you could see the smile on Sandy's face, like, it's not yours. No, it's not. Thank goodness. So anyways, it was fun. I don't know if she actually ended up using this lacy bit at retreat, or if she took it home and ended up using it in one of her she does a mixed media Sunday, and she does on Sundays on her YouTube channel. Sandy does her mixed media, and then the next day or a couple days after, she uses what she made, which I think is pretty cool. So if you guys haven't seen Sandy's channel, go check it out. It is State Goddess here on YouTube. See, you guys, I'm totally brain dead. I apologize. I will get my act together, I promise. Okay, so this is my first take on how I wanted, and basically what I do when I have just photos going on and I just have a bunch of layering pieces is I pick the dead spaces. Like I pick all the dead spaces to try and fill. I was so concentrated on that one dead space between the two Sandy photos that I didn't concentrate on the dead space below any of the photos. And so I decided, okay, I need to split the product and try to see if I can't get the product to spread out throughout the entire photo cluster. Like, I want it to look like all the photos are laying on top of all of these pieces. So I did end up tearing off the little stripes on my tag, so that way I could use the tag, but then also use the stripes. I've got some tabs that need to find homes to. I want to try to incorporate the word amazing in the title. Whether or not it makes sense, I have no idea. I don't know why I haven't glued the photos down yet. That is where they were going to go, but it is what it is. I decided to build the cluster down at the bottom. That's where my title is going to be. So it's going to stay blank for quite some time. And then it'll end up getting back to where I need it to be. I cut my frame in half so that way I could, well, if you tuck part of it away anyways, I don't see a sense. Now that the layout is together, I should have put that flower, the second flower that I just placed down, I should have put it down below and at the bottom of all of my photos. I don't notice it or do anything with it until afterwards. I do like by itself how this cluster that I'm working on now looks, but as a whole, I feel like it's a hot mess. Like, I feel like the layout is just thrown together, to be honest. I can't really say it's because I was struggling with all this pink, because it's just product, right? It could have been any color under the sun. But like I said, when I was working with all of the sections individually, I liked how they were looking. But now that I see the whole layout as a whole, it's like, it's kind of a hot mess. Or is it because I just don't like the color pink, right? I mean, one or the other. I'm not really sure. But then again, it kind of also goes with what's happening in the photos. So I like the layout. I'm going to take this lacy piece. I'm going to cut it into 3 different sections. And then frame them around and just use them as little extra embellishments. I don't end up actually using that third tab. I only end up using 2. And so, yeah, I'm about ready to finish off this layout. I have to add Sarah's little flowers. Sarah is the owner of Scrapbook Addicts, and she makes wonderful, wonderful homemade embellishments, you guys. They are just fabulous. All the detail inside these embellishments are phenomenal, like heart and soul inside. It's like, how do you do this? Seriously, it's fabulous. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take my little leaves now that they are dry and add them to the layout. This is the one that I actually ended up ripping, but it worked in my favor because then I didn't have to guess how I was going to tear it apart. It was already torn for me. I tore the one because it was too tall in half, and I used it in 2 different spots, and then went ahead off camera and glued those down. I realized I'd added my flare without sharing with you guys what I was going to do with it. And I debated about painting these roses pink as well, my little fabric roses, but I did cut them off of the ribbon, and I'm now just taking glue dots and gluing them to the bottom, so that way it holds in, that glue dot holds in all of the stringy things that I cut away from the roses and makes them a little bit more uniform. So at first I started just planting the roses wherever I saw that they needed to go without taking into consideration that I still need to put my title down. So it's going to be messy goodness, but because I wanted to incorporate the word amazing, it's going to say messy amazing goodness. So I just added an extra word to it. One of the other things that I am regretting is I still had a bunch of splats left over from the first layout that I did. And I really wanted to use them on this layout, and I totally forgot about them until yesterday. Like I even voiceover or editing the video, it was like, why didn't I do splats? That would just look awesome. So I might add splats a little later onto the layout. Here's where I realized that rose is slightly in my way. I definitely should have moved it before, because once you take the masking off of these letters and glue them down, they are pretty much stuck unless you don't like what's underneath them. They will come off. If you pry them off and rip your paper and do all the things, they will come off. But I did not want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave the goodness where it's at. But I do end up moving that flower. I don't like where it's at now that it's so close to my title. But I also have to put some foam dots on the word or on the little tab amazing, because Sarah's flowers are so dimensional. It's fabulous, and it's just paper. She just adds so much dimension. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add my little rose up there at the top. And now I just have to shift a couple things around just to fill in that gap, because I can't move the word goodness. There's just no way. And that is it, you guys. I do apologize. I finally have a full video, but yet I stumble through the entire voiceover. I don't know what's wrong with my brain today. It's probably because I haven't had any coffee yet. But that is my layout for today. I do end up liking how it looks because it matches what's going on in the photos. It really does. But like I said, there would have been a couple things that I would have changed now that I'm stepping back and seeing it. If I lay things out and don't glue them down right away, that I probably would have changed them, or at least seen what they looked like first. But this was my first instinct, and I really do enjoy how it looks. I love all the elements put together. All right, you guys, don't forget to check out all of the links that I have down below. Mixed Media Mayhem, the Iron Crafters Challenge is a playlist. The Kit Conspiracy is also a playlist. Mixed Media Mayhem's a playlist. Mixed Media Mayhem is a Facebook group as well. Kit Conspiracy is a Facebook group as well. And then also too, Janet Fritz is my partner in crime. So don't forget to check out her channel, which is Galaxy Girl Creations, to see what she is up to today. I will check you guys all later. Thanks. Bye.